Good day, internet land. Mikey here again for MMCM Photography. But today, it's not about photography, no. It's about search and rescue. And in particular, search and rescue that involves dogs. Now, some of you who've been following the channel may or may not know about the Action For Meg page, or the legacy for Meg as I now like to call it. About the 12-year-old collie that was left on top of a ben here in Scotland, Ben Schoolish, at the top of Loch at the start of the year by its owner, and sadly passed away as a result of the efforts to try and find her. In relation to that, there was a page set up, lots of followers, everybody was really keen to try and find the dog. When the dog wasn't found, people felt compelled to give money for something. The first Just Forgiven page was set up and £1,000 was raised, or there or thereabouts. Because the effort to look for Meg had now finished, the funds weren't really needed for the rescue attempt. So it was decided that the money should be split between two charities. The charities that were picked was SARDA Scotland and Give a Dog a Bone. Now, I'm hoping that if everything all works out correctly, I'm going to meet the good people from SARDA today. So that's why today is Search and Rescue Day rather than a photography day. So I've came to the lovely Loch, and in particular Kilchurn Castlle, which is at one end of the Loch that sits just round the corner from the village of Loch, in the shadow of Ben Cruachan, which is also here, one of my favourite Munros. It's more of a fact-finding mission, I suppose, but at least that way I can do a video about it and I can post it onto the page and everybody can see where your lovely donations all went, because people gave quite a lot of money, selflessly, towards the effort of finding Meg. And obviously when Meg wasn't found, or she was found but just not alive, the money had to go somewhere. You know, refunds could have been possible, but why not give it to a deserving charity where people of their own time go into these hills and mountains with their dogs, looking for people who have either got into difficulty or got lost or for whatever reason. Anyway, while I'm here, waiting for the SARDA Scotland people to turn up, I'm at Kilchurn Castlle in Loch, and it's a ruined structure on the rocky peninsula that is the northeastern end of Loch in Argyll and Bute. It was first constructed in the mid-15th century, I think it's the base of the Campbells of Glenorchy back in the day, when clans and such like were still very much prevalent in the area. The castle's very much in ruin now and is closed to public because it's clearly unsafe to get into. And there's quite a few people that have lived in here over its time. The ruin's now in the care of Historic Scotland, but there's a little road here. That's the A85 going to Dalmally, which is the best road to use, in fairness. And there's a little car park here, obviously when you're not parking your car like a madman. And the railway runs right past here as well, so you get the opportunity to see the train, if you like trains. And it's a scheduled monument. There was a local story, I don't know how true it is, but I was told that Sir Elton John was interested in purchasing said castle, but the locals weren't entirely too impressed with that. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's because he maybe a bit too flamboyant for this neck of the woods. But yeah, that was a story when it broke. That was quite interesting. Anyway, Kilchurn Castlle, there you have it. Right, I've met up with the SARDA people. They're here, they've arrived, although I hadn't specified which car park I was going to, so you can forget my previous rant about people being late. I'm only joking, I never said a thing. I'm at Kilchurn Castlle, right here behind me. Right, though like I said before, I'm just I'm going to ask some questions about SARDA, what they do, why they do it, how it's funded, how you can help, get involved if needs be, or maybe just find out a little bit more about something you didn't know about, because I didn't know about it and I live up here. So without further ado, I'll introduce the most important part, the dogs. Right, so this is Kim, and this is Krana. Hiya Krana, look, you're famous now. Right, okay. Okay, and I'd like to introduce you to Moira and Ken. Hi. They are both members of SARDA and have very kindly agreed to come down and speak about what they do. So, Ken, tell me, are you based up here?
I'm based, well, we live in Loch, so we're with Araker Mountain Rescue Team and do quite a lot of work in this area as well, along with Oban Mountain Rescue. Excellent.
And how long have you been a member of SARDA?
I think it's about 25 years.
25 years?
Yes.
You went into that with an experience of mountain rescue?
I had a couple of years mountain rescue experience before that with RAF Mountain Rescue, and then came across and joined the Araker team.
Moira, are you the same? How long have you been with SARDA?
I've been with SARDA about 27 years now, and qualified dog handler about 26 years.
Right, wow.
Having been a member of Araker Mountain Rescue Team and wanted to get a dog.
So you're both from the Loch neck of the woods?
Yeah, we're actually married.
Yeah.
Ah, right, well there you go. Husband and wife dog rescue team. That's quite interesting. No movie deals or anything being...
No, but we did meet on a rescue.
Oh, that's how romantic. I didn't know that. That's cool. So SARDA then, what is SARDA? What's the primary...
SARDA is Search and Rescue Dog Association Scotland. The primary role is to provide search dogs for mountain rescue teams. So we train the dogs, not the mountain rescuers. So most people are members of mountain rescue teams throughout Scotland.
Right, okie doke. And this is it's a charity, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a charity. We get a little bit of government funding through Scottish Mountain Rescue, but most of the money we raise, or we need to raise to run the organisation. So
tell me about the dogs then. When you guys, obviously, Moira, you said you're a dog handler, so do you do the training of the dogs as well?
What happens is SARDA meet as an organisation once a month, and we have trainers and assessors who assist dog handlers to train their dogs. So we're part of an organisation, part of a team, and we all work together to train the dogs. And then after the weekend we go away to our respective homes, and we do a wee bit of our own training out with the SARDA weekends to make sure the dogs are up to standard for assessment.
All right, and when it comes to getting a new dog into SARDA, how does that work? Does interested parties come to you, or do you seek them out?
Sometimes we get emails from people offering us border collies predominantly, but really it's down to the preference of the dog handler. So Kim here came from a farmer in Appin.
Oh right, local dog.
She's a local dog.
Excellent.
To the Oban area, and she came along and joined SARDA, and I helped to train her.
Yeah, and then now she's your dog.
And now she's mine, yeah, very much my pet.
Oh, that's nice. So, for example then, say I had an interest in search and rescue and I had a dog, what would be, I just register interest with?
It's a little bit more complicated than that, in that, as I mentioned before, we train the dogs, not the mountain rescuers. So we only accept people that have got 2 years recent mountain rescue experience.
Right, okay.
Because we can't train both the mountain skills and the dog skills, we're not there for that. The individual mountain rescue teams do that.
Right, got you. Okay then, so you'd have to have a firm knowledge of what you were doing on the hill yourself, yes, before you start heading up there with a dog. One thing I didn't ask though was, how old are the dogs?
Kim's now 8.
8 and...
Sarah's 5.
What would be the sort of general age-related working ability of the dogs? You know, when would you say is enough, too old?
Like people, it varies. Both our last dogs were probably still working 13, quite successfully I would say. They do slow down as they get older, as we do. Generally speaking, probably from about 2 years to about 10 years, I would say.
Right, okay.
The perfect working life.
But I suppose like any other sort of, like, I know as a diver, you've got to do an annual medical. You know, take the dogs, did they go through something similar to make sure they're fit enough to do this job?
Well, all our training weekends are not assessed, but observed, if you like, by trainers. So if the dog's not performing, then if it's the dog becoming too old, something will be said, and obviously they've got to have the hill fitness. So they're being observed on a monthly basis in training.
Right, okay.
Make sure they're up to standard.
And they all go for their annual boosters at the vet, and their annual, I know certainly our 2 dogs go down to our vets in Helensburgh on an annual basis and get their injections, and he does a thorough check of them when we're down there and make sure that their joints are still moving and that they're still fit.
And is there a particular reason why collies are favoured nowadays over other dogs, or is it just because of the style of breed that they are?
Bred for the hill.
Yeah.
Traditionally that was the working dog on the hill for farmers gathering the sheep. So they tend to be very, very fast over the ground, and when we're searching for missing persons on the hill, then you want the dog to cover the ground as efficiently and as fast as it can, so that we get a good outcome for the missing person.
As people who work in search and rescue or mountain rescue as well as the dogs, I did mention earlier there's a kind of fine line between dog owners and hill climbers. If you get any advice for people who do like to take their dogs, and like not necessarily full-blown Monroes like Cruachan here, but maybe out walking with the dog.
They've got to consider the dog as well themselves. The sort of stamina of the dog, the breed of the dog, whether it's going to cope with the day they're planning. So when you're planning a day on the hill, think of it what the dog can do as well as what you can do. Obviously, every individual dog's different, and the owners will know that. But it's quite important that they don't take on too much and the dog can't cope. That's when we get into problems.
I didn't open at the beginning, but obviously I'm sure you're both aware of the incident that happened in Ben Schoolish last month with the dog on the hill. One of the things I did yesterday was I did a video with being prepared as a person and what you would take in the hill. Is there any preparation, anything you would have on you if you go for a walk into the hills that's specific to the dog?
Well, yeah, dogs need to be fed as well, so always take something for them to eat. Possibly not on the dog, but possibly have some sort of blanket or something in case you get into trouble. Because bearing in mind, it might not be the dog that's in trouble, but it might be you, break an ankle or something. The dog's still got to sit with you until rescue turns up, and that can get very cold. So have something in there for the dog, ideally.
SARDA then, is how are you guys funded? Are you funded just with donations publicly, or did you get any help?
Yes, we do get a little bit of help, but the majority of our funding is from donations and legacies. We are a charity, a registered charity, but we do have some sort of core supporters and sponsors, one of which is Burns Dog Food, so all the dogs get free dog food from that company. So it's a really good thing, and also we support them at events. We'll go to events, we'll go to talks and promote the association. So Burns hold a Dogs Fun Day at Castlle once a year, and we've been along to that for the last 2 years. It's been held the last 2 years, and basically just promoting the association, but also showing the public what we do, doing little demonstrations in the ring and things, and set up sets so that people can see the dogs working.
Cool. And when SARDA Scotland, obviously, would you happen to know a number of how many volunteers you have?
Yeah, we have currently active on the call-out list. We have 19 search dog teams scattered right from the north of Scotland down into the borders.
Right.
There are other associations throughout the UK and Ireland. So you have SARDA England and Lake District Mountain Search Dogs, SARDA Wales North and South, SARDA Southern Scotland, which have some dogs on their call-out list. So we're not the only. It is one overall association, but it's not run like that. It all started with SARDA Scotland.
And the call-out procedure then, does it come to you via mountain rescue or police, or no. How does it work?
Any missing person in Britain, in Scotland, is a police responsibility. So the police will call out both mountain rescue teams and search dog teams. Sometimes the search dogs will be called out through the teams because they've had the initial call and decide they need search dogs.
Right. And then that's, like it says on your website, that's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
Absolutely. We have missed so many dinners and Christmas dinners in some cases, missed New Year's, Hogmanay's and things, just for the call-outs, yeah.
And with these, when doing this job, is there a continuity factor with all these rescues that you end up on? Is it, you know, the person that you've ended up having to go and save, or does it vary? Do you get really experienced climbers who just get into just a bad...
The fallacy that we're always rescuing people in trainers and carrying plastic bags full of sandwiches is not strictly true. It varies from the most experienced mountaineers in the world down to the people who've gone up the hill and just got out of their depth and didn't realise how bad it was up there.
Right.
There has been a little spate this year of people going unprepared. So, because I think, as we're stood here today, it's an absolutely beautiful day. But driving up here, we could see Cruachan, and there'd been a big avalanche in Cruachan, and people set off in these conditions thinking it's lovely, we'll go for a walk, and all of a sudden they're in full winter conditions.
Yeah.
So you need to be aware of what you're taking yourself into.
So then, just to kind of close off, and to, well, obviously to make sure you guys get an extra dinner this year maybe, or see a Christmas, if you're going to give anybody some advice heading out into the hills at any time of year in Scotland, because I know being in Argyll and Butte how changeable, I mean even Loch has a microclimate, what advice would you give to folks?
Just research what you're going to do, research the weather, in winter research the avalanche risk, get yourself some training on how to use a map and compass, and just be aware of what you're doing and plan it. And if it's bad and the weather systems change and things, it's not what you expected, turn back. Don't press on and risk your life.
Moira, anything to add to that? Or
just go prepared. Take extra food with you in your rucksack, extra clothing, so that if you do get into difficulty, then you're prepared, and you can start putting on your extra clothing, and you've got extra food there. But no, just be prepared, know what you're doing, learn how to use a map and compass.
And would you also say it's a benefit for anybody that isn't interested in climbing or already an accomplished walker and they want to start taking the dog? Is there courses and things that people can do with the dog, or is it just...
No, I mean, it's just a natural thing. If you're a dog owner and you walk in the hills to take your dog, the pleasure it brings is immense. You know, I don't like walking without a dog, to be honest with you. It just adds that extra element. So if you love the hills and you love dogs, take your dog, but just understand what you're going into.
Okay, that concludes our interview with the very good people at SARDA Scotland, and I bid you farewell from a very sunny Kilchurn Castle on Loch, although my microphone's now shining on my face. I'm going to say cheerio to Ken and Moira, so thanks very much for them at their time and coming out here and bringing the dogs out. So thanks Ken, thanks Moira for your time and for bringing the dogs out as well. Thanks guys, you've been very obedient. It's a tribute to your breeds and indeed your owners. Thanks again for your time. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to everyone who donated money to the cause, and thank you very much for donating to SARDA Scotland. You're absolutely welcome. Good job guys, and stay safe. Thank you. Thank you. Well, there you have it. That was SARDA Scotland. Nice to meet Moira and Ken and see or hear a little bit about what they do. And obviously it was lovely to meet the dogs as well. Obviously there wasn't any really training going on today. It was merely just an interview as such, just to meet them and understand a little bit more about what they do. So I'm very, very glad that they did that. Thanks very much to SARDA Scotland for allowing the guys out. I believe they've got... they're headed to Morocco next as a bit of a Araker Mountain rescue holiday out, although to some of us it wouldn't be much of a holiday because they're going to be climbing, so I don't know, what did they say, 13,000 feet or something on a hill. But it was good to meet them, and I'm glad that they are happy with our donation. I hope that you found it interesting and informative, and that you're safe in the knowledge of where your fundraising has went. I also hope you enjoyed the cinematics of Loch here, Kilchurn Castle, the seat of the Campbell clan, and you know how I do like to do a little bit of cinematic filming. And that would be it for today's vlog. So thanks very much for watching. Like the video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and share it. You know, you can find me on other social mediums, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the likes. I'll put the links all in the description below. Also in the description I will put links to SARDA Scotland, their sponsors, and everything that was mentioned in the video. You can find the link down in the description. And again, I hope you enjoyed it, because the page that was set up for Meg as just needed a little bit more engagement in fields that were relevant to what we were doing. And I suppose it's all about awareness, and these guys in mountain rescue, and indeed SARDA, they do quite the job. And it's not for the faint-hearted, especially the fact that these guys are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. That is outstanding. So thanks to everybody who donated. This is where half your money has went, and I will indeed do another video for the other recipient of said funds, which will be Give a Dog a Bone. But it's really all just down to time. I've got a lot on, I've got work to do, I've got family, and sometimes it's quite hard to do sometimes it's quite hard to fit everything in, but I will do it, because there is funds there to be distributed out to charities, and this is who one half of it's going to. So I hope you enjoyed what you saw. I'm going to pack up now, head off. I've got all this editing to do, and thanks again, and I'll speak to you next time.